Hi everybody. How you doing? Ready to do some GIS? Whoop. My camera. A little shaky there. So I hope that people can find us today. I hope that you and your classmates can find us here on YouTube Live today. And join us. I got 13 right now, but there's 24 of you, so there's a lot of people missing. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the main tools that we're going to use this semester, and software. These are software tools. And GIS, it's short for Geographic Information Systems, and you can define it in a lot of different ways. But definitely, you got to think of it as a multi-dimensional type of system, and it involves hardware, it involves procedures, it involves techniques, it involves data, and it involves, did I say software already? I can't remember. People. It involves people. But today we're going to focus on the software, and we're going to take a look at, spend some time taking a look at the two main pieces of software that we will use in this course. One is ArcGIS Pro, and the other is ArcGIS Online. One of these is a desktop product that runs on your Windows computer. The other is a web-based product that runs in the cloud, and you can use and manipulate data, analyze data in the cloud from anywhere that has a web browser. So if you guys have any questions while I'm talking, put them in the comments, and I will see them and try to answer them. Okay, so let's get started. First thing I want to do is, all right, log into Sakai on keyboard. All right, and I want to show you that I added a lessons tab here, and what I'll do is every week I'll post up a new link here in lessons, but what I'm doing is I'm going to try to summarize what I'm expecting you guys to be doing each week. So for week 1, read the course syllabus, install ArcGIS Pro on your own computer following the instructions here, click that link and they open up. Read chapter 1 in Law and Collins and complete the exercises, and complete lesson 1 in Smith et al. So Law and Collins is the lecture textbook, Smith et al. Is the understanding, is the project, is the workbook for the laboratory. Jasmine says I don't have Microsoft to download ArcGIS. So Jasmine, are you saying you don't have a Windows computer at home? Is that what that means? Yes. Okay. So, so what that means is that you will. Are you able to come into labs on Thursday to do your work? You have a MacBook. Can you run Boot Camp on a MacBook? Install Windows via that Boot Camp dual bootloader these days. I don't know if you can still do that. But anyways, let's start with you. If you are coming into lab tomorrow, we can talk a little bit more about strategy for getting you handled as far as ArcGIS. Okay, so I just wanted to show you this to summarize what we're going to be doing each week. All right, well then let's get started. Let's take a look at we'll take a look at the ArcGIS Pro first, and so while we're doing this, let me back up a second here. When it comes to GIS, think of it as there is a technology side which involves the hardware and the software and all that. And then there is a technique side. There's a way of thinking side. So in this course, you're going to be doing both of these things. When it comes to the techniques, the techniques of making a map, good practices for picking your symbology, data collection, what format the data takes, what kind of analysis do you do on geospatial data. These sorts of things, these techniques, these way of thinking are, this knowledge base is universal regardless of what software or hardware you use for your GIS. For example, there's another piece of software called QGIS, which is open source and free. ArcGIS Pro is this desktop solution from Esri. It's an industry standard, so people in natural resource management, people in municipalities, this is the software that they use. So that's why we learn it in this class, because you use GIS in your career, you're most likely going to use Esri software. Google Maps, Google Earth, these are GIS. These are GIS examples of GIS. And Google has another project called Google Earth Engine, which is amazing, and it's completely, mostly code-based, JavaScript code-based. All right. Anyway. So as we go through the semester, you try to think about this way. We're learning the specific tool, ArcGIS Pro and ArcGIS Online, but the way of thinking about GIS, about geographic data and geospatial data analysis is universal regardless of what kind of software or hardware you're using. All right. Let's go here. Yay. Okay. So what you see right now, this is when you have ArcGIS installed on your computer. This is what you see when you open it. ArcGIS Pro. This is what you see when you open it. And there's a couple ways you can get started, but usually what we're going to do, if you're starting a new project, you're going to click this map template right here. And that's true of, I was going through the laboratory for this week, and the way they describe for you to get started is a little bit different than this, but if you open up ArcGIS and click map, it'll ask you to name your new map project and pick a save location and create a new folder for this project. So ArcGIS projects are composed of many parts, okay? But when you open up the software, you'll see something like this. And so you have a number of panes. Since we created a map project, there's a map in the middle. What else we got here? We've got a ribbon up here at the top. That's what this is called. And we got a contents menu over here. And over here, there's a couple tabs open for my last session. We'll close that one. Close that one. The catalog pane shows all the resources that you have linked to your project. Okay. So let's see, what should we do first? Well, I think what I'll do is, let me do something, I'll put some data in our map here, and the point of doing this is to demonstrate the two main kinds of data that you work with in a GIS. One kind is called vector data, and the other kind is called raster data. Okay, so let me demonstrate what that's like. Okay, well actually, what we're seeing right now is an example of raster data. It's a picture. It's a picture of the Earth. Look, I can zoom out. can zoom in. Can zoom in. You notice how I'm using the wheel on my mouse to zoom in. If you don't have a wheel on a mouse, you can use in the map tab. There's fixed zoom functions. You can also hold the shift key and drag a box to zoom into a local area. So we can zoom in. Notice how as I zoom in, the amount of detail is changing. You know, when I'm zoomed out, here's Martinsburg, Shepherdstown, but when I zoom in, now I'll see other towns, Carneysville, Shenandoah Junction. I start to see street names. Click and drag to pan around. I can hold in the Q button and move my mouse to just kind of scan around, follow the Potomac River all the way around. So what I'm looking at here is, oh wait a minute, I forgot to switch back. Let's try that again. We still see you. Thanks, Sean. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, so if you have Windows, you can just search it up in Google, right? I'm not sure what you mean, Terrell. Terrell, what do you mean by that? Okay, so sorry about that. So now you see ArcGIS Pro, and what we're looking at here is it's actually raster data. So it's like a picture. Pictures have pixels, and every pixel has a value. But this is sort of a multi-scale example of raster data. As I zoom in, the data that's being displayed is different. It tiles through different levels of detail. So if I zoom out, I'm using the roller on the mouse to zoom in and out. I can also use these buttons up here to zoom in and out. And zoom into Shepherdstown. If I zoom out, Shepherdstown disappears. But you see Martinsburg, Inwood, Charlestown. So as you zoom in, you start to get more detail. And if I zoom in far enough, you'll start to see street names. You'll even see footprints of buildings. What we have here is, and zoom out, I can see the whole world. All right, that world you should recognize is very distorted, and we're going to talk about what that means. All right, and what we're looking at here is, I'm going to change back to the camera, and I'll remember. So what we're looking at here is called a base map. And in this case, it's a topographic base map. All right, and the base map is a way of putting down an image, putting down images and labels that help you orient yourself in space. Okay, let me go back to it, and I'll show you that you have options of different base maps. So this under the Maps tab in the ribbon, you can go to base map, and this menu comes up, and you have lots of different options. You can look at satellite imagery, Shepherdstown. Zoom in, you get more detail. Zoom out, you get less detail. You can do imagery with labels. Zoom in, zoom out. Streets, the topographic maps. You have lots of different choices. So the choice that you use, oceans, you know, look at the world's oceans. This is cool because it shows detail of what the ocean looks like. You see the Mid-Atlantic Ridge there. The Pacific Trenches. Okay. Terrell says, as far as downloading ArcGIS Pro onto your laptop, can I search for it in Google? No, follow the instructions that are on Sakai for downloading and installing ArcGIS Pro. So if you go to the Lessons tab on Sakai, there's a link to the instructions for installing it on your computer. All right. So let's go to, let's change my base map back to Street View. All right, and let's go to folders over here, and I'm going to right click, I'm going to add a folder connection. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to navigate to a folder that has some data in it, and this is Understanding GIS Volume 4. This is the file that I installed this on my computer. This is all the data that you need for the laboratory work this semester. And if I go in here and I go into the LA River Parksite folder, LA River Parksite, this file right here has the extension GDB. That stands for Geodatabase. And let's go to Parksite, maps and more. Nope, let's go to source data. So here's another geodatabase, esri.gdb. And let's go into the boundaries folder, and here is a file called city_pt, and I'm going to drag it over here to my map, plop it down, and let's see what it does. I'm going to right click on that layer that I created and do a zoom. Where is it? Zoom to layer. Oh, there's a city way over there in the Aleutian Islands. Okay, I'll manually zoom in here a little bit. Holy smokes! Look at all those dots. All right, so what I've done here is I've put down on top of my base layer. I put down on top of my base map a layer of geospatial data that is little dots that represent the locations of all the cities in the United States. It's probably not all the cities, but it looks like most of the cities in the United States. Okay, so this is the way a GIS is organized. You think of data as falling into what are called feature classes. So here, each of these little dots represents a feature in this, and I can rename this layer. Why don't we do that? I could call it cities. Just double click on that and rename it. So if I just click on one of these, let's see. Right here, click on this, and let's go to, if I right click on the cities and select attribute table, what we see is that each of these dots corresponds to, I wonder why the pop-up's not coming up. Ooh. Corresponds to a city, and each of those cities has a row in this attribute table. So each of these dots has data associated with it. And so what we have is this type of data is referred to as vector data, because the locations of specific cities are indicated on the map, and each of those features has associated with it a collection of attributes. And if we look at the table, what are those? Well, we got number of housing units, the population in the year 2000, What else do we got? The land area, the water area, lots of data. Okay. So when it comes to vector data types, you have data that falls into the vector data types can be point data, which is what I'm showing you right here. You can also have line data, which would be what you would want if you're representing the course of a river or the course of a road. And then you can also have polygon data or area data, which is represented by shapes. So let's put some of that on here. Let's see. Let me take a look at this data. I just right-clicked on it. Okay, what am I looking at here? This is a feature class showing representations of the 50 states. Okay. Let's put that on here. Okay, so now I got polygons on here representing the 50 states. Oh no, where did all my city data go? It's still there, it's just not visible. Well, what can I do? I could bring it to the top. There it is. Okay, I just put the city's data, I clicked and dragged it to the top. And now I can see it. Well, I can't see my base map anymore. These polygons are obscuring my base map. What can I do? Well, I could click on this symbol button and a menu pops up for me to adjust what's called the symbology of the features on that layer. I go to the properties. I can adjust the fill. I can change the color. Maybe I don't want any color. I just want the states to be outlined in red. Okay, so you can adjust the symbology. Symbology is really important to map making. And so now I have two types of vector data on this map at the same time. I've got data for points representing all the cities in the country, and I got data which is polygon data showing all of the 50 states. Let me think here. Let me see. Let's see. I want to see what kind of skills you specifically need for the lab this week. Base maps, zooming, add a folder connection, symbology, okay. Okay, so let's say that let me open up the cities. Open up the cities attribute table again. So if I right click on cities and open the attribute table, let's take a look at what we have. Let's say I just want to focus on cities that are located in West Virginia. I noticed that one of the columns in my attribute table is state, ST, and there's a 2-letter code for each of the states in that column. So would it be possible to obscure all the data that I'm not interested in to just focus on the West Virginia data. I don't want to delete the rest of the data. I just don't want it on my map. So let's do that. So I go here, right click, and then go down to properties. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do, I wonder if you can see this, the pop-up window. Oh, I'm waiting to see if it comes up in the live stream. I don't think you can. That stinks. All right. So what I did was right-click on cities. I'll have to see if I can figure out a better way to do this. How about this? Give me a second here. Just a second. I want to show you. There we go. So now I just got to move that out of the way. All right. Let's see if this works now. All right. So, all right. Thanks, Sean. So I think you'll be able to see it now. So if I right-click on cities and I'm looking at this. Yes, okay, you can see it. And click on properties. All right. One of the options here, let's look at, so general, you can rename the layer. You can look at what's the source of the data, including the spatial reference. We'll spend some time a lot of time talking about that, but I don't want to today. We can go to definition query here, and you're going to have to do this this week to do the laboratory activity. And so we're going to do a new definition query. And what we're going to do is we're going to query the data, which is a database type term. And what we're going to do is we're going to query the column labeled ST for state. And we're going to want to return the rows where that's equal to WV. And I'll click apply. And OK. And there we are. So what I've done, oh, I don't want that. You zoom in here, is I filtered the data so only cities in West Virginia are returned. Okay, so now I could rename that layer West Virginia cities, and I click OK. Oh, good, the pop-up works now. It didn't work before, okay, but now it does. So I couldn't figure out why it wasn't working. So now if I go into one like Martinsburg here and click on Martinsburg, what we see is this pop-up window that displays the data that's in the row of the attribute table for Martinsburg. So Martinsburg has a unique identification number. It's a city. It's in West Virginia. It's got 7,432 housing units. The population in 2000 was 14,972. You got all this information. What about Shepherdstown? What about Charlestown? Okay, so you can click on the features on your map. There, I clicked on the state of Maryland. It tells you all about Maryland. That's a lot of data about Maryland. You got demographics broken down by 10-year chunks. Okay. Let's see. Let me take a look at when you are working on the lab this week, you go through it step by step, and if you follow through step by step, I think you'll be able to do it. The instructions are written pretty well, but you need to be careful and you need to go through it step by step by step. Okay, so excuse me. So let's see. Let's take a break from. I know that was not a very deep dive into ArcGIS Pro, but I wanted to at least open up the software and at least show you how to open up the software and how to navigate the interface a little bit. Okay, you're going to jump in and use the software starting tomorrow, and you're going to run into problems, and you're going to have hang-ups, but you're going to pick it up pretty quickly. I'm confident that you're going to pick it up pretty quickly. So let's go back to the web browser and let's do this. Oops, wrong keyboard. So if you search Google for Understanding GIS 4th edition, Esri Press Book Resources, you'll find a result, Understanding GIS 4th edition. If you click that, you'll come to a page that has data that's required for you to work through this workbook. And it's this first link right here. Not only that, there's a 180-day trial to ArcGIS Desktop if you buy the printed book, but you don't need that because you have a license already through Shepherd. So if you click this, it's a big download. It's like 400 megabytes. But look at this. There are downloads to zip files showing the results of every lesson in the book. So I'm not going to be grading you on completion of the exercises in the book, okay, as they're laid down, because the answers are freely available online. I'll be grading you in these lab practicums on your the degree to which you have absorbed the lessons in the book and can apply what you've learned to a somewhat new, somewhat novel situation. Okay. But if if you're working through this workbook, you're going to work through the labs on your own computer, you're going to want to come to this website and download this data. It downloads an installation file that you install, and when you do, then the data will be on your computer just like it is on mine. It will be accessible from that folder, and if you go to add folder connections and navigate to it, it'll be a folder called UGIS 4. Okay. All right. So I just want to show you that. So this presents a problem that I haven't really appreciated until this point. And the problem is this: in a typical year, each student would have a computer in the laboratory that's their computer for the semester, and they would come in and when they log in, they would be able to install this software, which is basically data sets, and installs data sets on their computer. And but we're not going to be able to do that this semester, so one computer in the lab might be used by multiple people. So we're going to have to figure this out tomorrow. You guys come into lab, some of you, probably not all of you. We will have to do a little trial and error to see what the best way to deal with this is. I think we may be able to install the data locally so that it's available to you when you log in. But if another person logs in, they're seeing their data in their own folders. another approach is to bring a thumb drive or a USB drive and install the data onto that thumb drive or USB drive, and then you have it in the lab when you're there, or you have it at home if you're using your computer at home. So in other words, there's some hardware issues that we need to work out. All right, and we'll have to figure it out, but we won't know exactly how to do that or the full nature of the problems until we're in there tomorrow in lab. Okay, so we're gonna move on, and I'm going to introduce you to ArcGIS Online in a second. But before we do that, remember that I will be on campus tomorrow in the GIS lab starting at 9 a.m. and I've got 3 windows of time blocked off with the GIS lab: 9 to 11, 11 to 12:50, and 1 to 3. And in order to come to campus and have access to the GIS lab during that time, you need to first go to that sign-up sheet, that sign-up sheet that is linked to in Sakai. In the side tabs of Sakai, there's a link to the sign-up sheet. So make sure you're signing up before you come in. Why are we doing that? Because we don't want more people to show up than we can accommodate in the lab at one time. All right, but I do think that if at all you can do this, you can come to campus at least once a week to work on GIS. I think you'll get a lot more out of the course, and I think you'll learn a lot more. Okay. So I hope to see a lot of you tomorrow. Let's go back to Chrome. Okay, so ArcGIS Pro is one tool that we're going to use during this semester. Another tool we're going to use is ArcGIS Online. And you should have gotten an email from Dr. Murphy that has assigned you a username and a password. And I checked yesterday, and a lot of you have already been successful at coming into ArcGIS Online and signing in and activating your account. The username and password that you pick will be the same username and password that you use to activate ArcGIS Pro. So my username is jgroff7, and that's my username for ArcGIS Online. It's also my username that I use to authenticate my license for ArcGIS Pro on my desktop computer. So back here, let's sign in. Actually, let's not do that yet. Let's do a search. So you can browse data that's on ArcGIS Online without signing in. Let's look for United States Geologic. Let's see what this gives us. Geology of the United States. All right, so I searched ArcGIS Online. I found that there's a map. It's part of Esri Atlas. So this is a curated map. It's high data quality. It's produced by Esri, so you know it's high quality. If I click it, I'm going to get all kinds of metadata about this map, a description, what is in the map, what layers are in the map. So this map apparently contains vector data, which is a polygon form showing geology units in the United States of America. You have more information about the license and how it can be used. But then you have a link up here for Open in Map Viewer. So I click that, and it's asking me to log in. So I'll log in with my credentials, and you would log in with your own. Okay. And so then this map opens, and what we see is this beautifully colored map of the United States with the major geology units indicated. So I can click on, let's let's click right here. All right, so what I've clicked on, so here's a, oh, I didn't want that. Just want to click right there. And so, oh good, you can see the pop-up windows in the browser. That's good to know. So I clicked on this unit, which is most of, which stretches into, sorry, southern West Virginia. This geology unit is the Lower Pennsylvanian. It's sedimentary rock. I can click zoom to, and it'll zoom to the extent of that layer. Let's see, what else can we do? So with ArcGIS Online, you can, there's some tools. These tools are available in ArcGIS Pro and the desktop as well. I can measure distances between points. And I can measure areas. If I want to make changes to this map, I've got to go here and click Save As, and I can save it as a new map. Let's do, I want to add layers, I can do that. What are you guys going to do this week? Hold on, let me take a look at, so when you're reading through chapter 1 of Getting to Know ArcGIS Pro, you will, oh, you're exploring the same map. Okay, let's see, let me see if I can figure out one thing that might be hard to do. I don't know, it's pretty self-explanatory. Well, let's do this. So the second part, I got 5 minutes here. So the second part of this chapter has you look at a different data set on ArcGIS Online that deals with pedestrian accidents in Wilmington, Delaware. Okay, so let's see if we can find that map, and I'll show you how you can change symbology. All right. So let's go to home. I'm not going to save this, and I will search for this map, which is called, let's see, it's called pedestrian. Oop. And bicycle accidents. And so in the search results, I'm going to turn this off because that right now it's only searching in for maps that are published in our organization, Shepherd University Geomatics, but we want to search the whole world. And there's a lot of copies. We'll just pick one. I want a copy of a copy. Hold on. The original is by Michael Law. See if I can find it. Don't see it. Oops. Oh, didn't come up. All right, well, let's pick the first one here. Ah, okay. They already changed the symbology on us. So what we're seeing over here is, if I go to the contents pane, there's a lot about ArcGIS Online that's similar to ArcGIS Pro, but there is a lot of differences too. So if I turn off all the accidents except for accidents in 2014 and hover there, one of the buttons underneath it is this change style button. So let's click on that. And when I click that, it says, well, what attribute do you want to show under this accidents 2013 layer? Actually, let me go back. 2014, which attribute do we want to show? The attribute we want to show is called involves, and let's go back here first. All right, let's open the attribute table. That'll be hard to understand if you don't see. So if you look at the attribute table, the data in accidents 2014 has a column for involves, a column for date, and a column for location. And it looks like involves is coded with either a 9 or a 10. And so it turns out that 9 represents pedestrian accidents and 10 represents bicycle accidents. So if I click here and select the attribute evolve and I say, I want to show a unique symbol for each of those different types of accidents. So I'll click this options. And what we see is that in this data set, there are 35 records for pedestrian accidents and 5 records for bicycle accidents. And what that then allows me to do is to independently change the symbology for these different types of accidents. So let's say I want the pedestrian accidents to look different. I can come in here and, I don't know, let's try transportation. Is there a picture of a pedestrian in here? Public safety. I'm just trying to find something that, there's a little person, I think, and a bicycle accident. Let's see, there's a bicycle. Okay, and then I'll click OK, done, and close the attribute table, and then right click here, click on accidents and do zoom to, and so now we can see the spatial relationship between pedestrian accidents and bicycle accidents. And so you can maybe understand how this could be useful and powerful. You can visualize. Let me sum it up this way. So you have this layer in your map, which contains vector data, these point locations, and a whole bunch of other attributes for accidents. And this constitutes what would be called a feature class. Each of these accidents, each of these dots on the map is a feature, and they're all members of the same class of features, which contains the same type of data, vectors, points, and the same attributes. But you want to visualize that data differently depending on the value that exists in a specific attribute. So maybe, another example would be, let's see, a real example. I was working on a map this summer, which was the locations of different Wi-Fi infrastructure at Tabler Farm, and each of those locations is a point in a feature class, but each feature could be Wi-Fi router, Wi-Fi access point, modem. So when I visualize that, I can pick a different symbol for each of those different types of Wi-Fi hardware that exist. Okay, so we'll we'll pick up this lecture on Friday, but I hope to see a lot of you tomorrow in Snyder 113, and we'll take it from there. Okay. So I'll see you then. Have a good rest of your day.